This is the Pulsebeat. It's said that every inspiration starts with a spark, and we're here to ignite a fire. Join us as we showcase conversations from esteemed experts in a multitude of specialties. You'll find experts discussing topics that stimulate, inspire, and encourage. From the famous and familiar to the lesser known, the Pulsebeat will be your go-to for stirring up a sense of truth and optimism. A podcast that pulses truth with every interview and story, bringing hope into dark places.
Well, welcome everybody. Happy New Year from all of us at the Pulsebeat podcast, which we have various times throughout the week, through the month. And we have the distinct honor of having with us Dr. Avery Jackson, the esteemed neurosurgeon. Many of you, that you don't call him your doctor, you call him your friend. The minute that you meet him, you just feel that he cares so much about you. We're so honored to have him as part of our Cardio Miracle team. And he has a lot of wisdom to impart, not only from a physician, but from a faith-based orientation, and really getting us going into the 2025. And I'm so excited to see you and hear you and have you on the show today.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Forgive me if there's ups. I think we've got some bad weather. But thanks for being here. I mean, allowing me to be, and it's always a pleasure. It's always a lot of fun, and it's interesting to talk miracle and all of its wonderful benefits.
Well, we know when you're on the move, it's hard to get people that are as busy as you. So we appreciate any time you can give us. So thank you so much. First of all, again, Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. But a lot of the questions that I'm getting, people knew that you were going to be on a podcast with me, and they have a couple people had text in, and so would we ask you specific questions? And we're going to go headlong into it. But we're just coming off of the holidays where a lot of people were getting sick. I know my family included, and people were really struggling. Why is that? Why is that during the holidays or during different parts of the year, people get sick?
Well, there are a couple of reasons, Lisa. One of the is that there is a change in light. There's a change in light, then that affects the pineal gland, and that's why light therapy is so important, red light therapy. And so that's because of change in temperature and the barometric pressure. So that can cause, open us up to some sickness. And that's okay, and my recommendation for people who start to experience the cold is to make sure that you're hydrated. And obviously Cardio Miracles stay hydrated when you're taking Cardio Miracle and water or whatever drink that you'd like. I think it's important to laugh, because the laugh to your brain to tell your body to secrete good hormone and the nitric oxide. And again, it's interesting that the Word of God says nitric oxide is, and yet you secrete nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is in Miracle has a sustained release formula to make nitric oxide available. And that's so important during this season when there's flu and colds, because your body through all of that. But those are the reasons, the basic reasons why we tend to get cold during this time, and it's common for everyone.
Well, and you bring up a really good point. You talk about the sunlight or light, and what is so exciting, we just finished up a study in Michigan where some of the clients, they had significant increases in their vitamin D level after taking the Cardio Miracle product. So during the winter months, or when we're all closed in without the light, that vitamin D is essential, isn't it?
It's completely essential. Vitamin D is a hormone, and it's so important. You'd be surprised at how many systems the vitamin D will help to control and regulate. For instance, your inflammatory systems, your cytokines, having the appropriate dose of vitamin D in your serum, in your blood, somewhere between 60 and 80 nanograms, or depending upon which assay you use, is key to helping decrease the inflammation and therefore decrease some of the cold and flu symptoms that we experience. Also, regulating your hormonal systems is important with vitamin D. Also, bone strength is important with vitamin D. And so one of the things that I really enjoy about Cardio Miracle is that it goes well beyond 100% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin D. But again, it's not just vitamin D that we see in other supplements. It's bioavailable, sustained vitamin D.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
No, you hit on something really important that I want to make sure people understand is the difference between our product and another product out there is the bioavailability and as close to nature as possible. So we have a lot of our ingredients that are organic. John has sources out, very intelligently from all over the planet, and he's found the finest. And I really believe that I did one of my papers one time on synthetic vitamins and minerals versus nature's grown, right? And organic. So we know that the body can absorb non-synthetic much better. And I think it surprised everybody when they found the link between the nitric oxide and the vitamin D. And I just want everybody to understand that it's the bioavailability of the ingredients in the Cardio Miracle.
That's right. That's exactly right, Lisa. And so, and this is not a small deal. This is a huge deal, because with vitamin D, it touches so many different systems in our bodies. One of the things that I think about is I was talking to someone earlier that was saying that it was hard to breathe. There was some cold symptoms. And, we don't realize that these inflammatory factors really can affect our breathing,
Yes.
and our lung function when we do have a cold or have an infection from a virus. And when those vitamin D levels are higher, that will lessen kind of the inflammatory response that we see with colds. Although again, colds and flu are natural, they come and they go. Yeah. And as long as we're hydrated and we get our vitamin D, we're getting some exercise, our water and our sleep, oftentimes we can really get through this. But again, that vitamin D level and the L-arginine and the nitric oxide combined are a 1-2 punch during these seasons.
And the vitamin C, the bioavailability of the vitamin C. We used to talk about bowel tolerance in vitamin C. Well, a lot of times it was because you're taking a vitamin C that's synthetic and not natural, or in the organic natural state. So I think that's super exciting too, because if you are falling to prey of something that's swirling around out there that is nefarious, don't be afraid of taking more of the Cardio Miracle. Just load it up. And some people do have bowel intolerance from time to time, but I think we're finding basically right across the board, not that we treat, cure, diagnose anything, including a cold, but people are finding that if they do increase their Cardio Miracle, that their body is responding better. And speaking of responding better, hey, Josh, how are you?
Hey, Josh.
Nice to see you. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can't quite hear your mic or your.
Can't hear you yet. Josh is like the interview man, podcast man. He just got off another podcast.
Oh, wow.
A big one across the United States. So he's chiming in to say hello to everybody, and from our podcast studio right there in Utah. That's pretty exciting. But while we're waiting for Josh to come back, another thing, Dr. Avery, that we've talked about a lot is how does nutrition affect the mental capacity or our brain?
That's right. So when you have the appropriate amino acids and the appropriate bioavailable foods, just like Cardio Miracle, which is a superfood, then you're able to process information better and quicker. And what we call that is, it's just processing, cognitive function and processing. The opposite of that is something called bradyphrenia, and bradyphrenia means slowness of thought. And we can kind of have brain fog or bradyphrenia when we're not getting the nutrition that we need and the hydration. And I've been really impressed because with the Cardio Miracle, the beets and the broccoli and some of the other superfoods that are in it are in really large quantities that are concentrated down. I mean, you think about it, it's like you'd have to have a couple of, bowls
Yeah.
of beets if you had actual, the beets that were in a non-powdered form, to get what you get in Cardio Miracle. So it's all like really compact. And so your system is getting a huge load of these natural ingredients at the same time, plus again the nitric oxide and L-arginine, which is just key to brain function. And again, that the beets that are in it are another one. And so NAC is another one. The lion's mane is wonderful for brain
Yeah.
and cognitive function. And I've seen people really perk up when they're taking the Cardio Miracle because of the lion's mane and some of the other ingredients.
That's incredible. Now, one of the questions that I had based on what you were speaking about, you touched on that, is do you think that Cardio Miracle would be helpful or advantageous to someone that was forgetful?
Yeah, and I do. And here's the reason why. Because good food, which is Cardio Miracle, good superfood, provides a lot of minerals, and some amino acids and a lot of the ingredients at kind of a micro level that our body needs to be able to think clearly and to function the way that we need to function. And all of us have been there. Think about it. When you're not eating and you're not getting good nutrition, you tend to be more foggy in your thought process. So
Yeah.
again, good
Yeah.
nutrition is key. And so the answer is yes, for sure.
Oh, that's, remember back in the days when the elderly people would come in the ER, like they came in to have a cup of coffee. I mean, years ago when I was working in the emergency room, we had our frequent flyers, right? That would come in and weren't feeling very good, needed a pat on the back. But also once we started to look at their diet, and you and I talk about it, right? The coffee and toast people, or the tea and toast, and what they were taking. And I think it really is important. If we're talking about anti-aging, we're talking about, good brain health, overall good brain health. I don't think there's anything better than the Cardio Miracle, because it really does, even though they're not eating good. I think this should be in every elder home. It should be not only in the schools, but in every elder home, because these people literally, they lose their appetite. And that's another question. Why, as we age, do we lose our appetite?
Yeah. And I completely agree with you, Lisa. So one of the reasons why, and we call that, being satiated or
Yeah.
satiety. So when the satiation drive in your brain and the hypothalamus will tell yourself that you're not hungry even when you really should eat. And one of the biggest reasons I believe, in what the science shows, is because we're less active, and that's a major issue, and that changes our hormonal and balances. And so our brain is detecting something that's kind of false. And so that's one of the reasons we go to tea and toast. It's a memory issue. We go to those comfort foods that we oftentimes like so much, and some are good for us and some aren't. And then it's a vicious cycle if we're not getting the amount of protein that we need, and that will break down our muscles and can break down, again, some of the other nutrients that we need. And so that's what leads to early satiety, and when in fact you really should still be hungry. So I encourage people, getting the Cardio Miracle on board actually helps to encourage drinking water. And that once you're getting hydrated, then that encourages a healthy appetite. And the healthy appetite encourages more protein intake and more amino acids that your brain
Yes.
and your body needs.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you so much. Josh, welcome back.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes, we can hear you. We were calling you the podcast king.
Also, thank you. Wow.
You have been on how many podcasts? I said, we're just lucky to have him with us today. He's been on a back-to-back podcast. How you doing, brother?
You know what? It's going to be interesting because I just got off an hour long with Patriot.tv talking politics for over an hour. And I was like, I can talk Cardio Miracle, but so it was kind of interesting. But I wanted to hit on, if it's okay, the hydration. Jason and I sat down to Jason, the president of Cardio Miracle. We sat down a couple weeks ago and we literally talked for probably 35 minutes about the differences between not only our athletic performance, but our sleep, our day, everything based on just off of hydration, which was unbelievable to me. And so we obviously we're talking about Cardio Miracle, and people on the question and answer ask us if they can take it too much or if they can drink too much, and we encourage that so that everyone can get hydrated, because I'm telling you, a lot of that brain fog, a lot of that different thinking comes, I think, when we're dehydrated. So are there dangers? There's dangers behind being dehydrated, right, Dr. Avery?
Totally. When you become dehydrated, your immune system starts to shut down, brain function shuts down, just like if you don't get enough oil in your car, and eventually the engine block breaks and all these problems occur. And I would say another benefit of Cardio Miracle is the fact that can you eat enough? Can you eat too much broccoli? Can you eat too many strawberries? Can you eat too many beets? Probably not. Your body is going to use, since Cardio Miracle is an amazing superfood, your body is going to use what it needs. And if you actually do end up eating more, which is unlikely for most of us, then you'll just excrete it. You'll get rid of it in your urine, or your stool. So you can't overdo it. I mean, just like hydration, it's extremely rare to overhydrate. I mean, usually that happens in circumstances when people have unusual disorders. And so
Yes.
likewise, I would say Cardio Miracle being that superfood, can you get enough superfood? And the answer is your body will tell you, but it's not usually going to be a decision that you're making. So again,
Correct.
I'd rather err on the side of having too much good superfood than too little. And what comes along with Cardio Miracle is the hydration, because you're usually putting Cardio Miracle in water or some other kind of good fluid that's just going to hydrate you. So the two together are a winning combination. And for kids, forget about it. I think we're seeing more kids that have childhood diabetes because of the pop and the soda. And I've got my 11 and 15-year-old using Cardio Miracle because, it tastes almost just like a Kool-Aid, but yet it's like the best version of a V8. You're
Yeah.
sticking all this good stuff in it, but it tastes like it should be bad for you because it tastes so
Right.
great, but yet it's not. And so I'm really big on kids getting Cardio Miracle, and I think they
Mhm.
should start their day and they should end their day with Cardio Miracle, because I think it's going to help their overall performance in school and also help to regulate their sugars. And again, it's because that's what superfood does, right? It helps to regulate your system because you're getting good nutrition.
Yes. You know what? You bring up a really good thought. When I was working in the ER, we had a couple patients from time to time that came in that were terrifically third spacing, right? They were drinking just what you mentioned, the overhydration, the constant thirst, that type of thing. And then the body doesn't absorb it, of course, because you're drinking way too much. And so what I kind of catapulted into when I started Cardio Miracle was that I ran into so many people that they didn't drink water because they didn't like the taste of water. So I said, go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of Cardio Miracle in with your water. Doesn't have to be a lot, just so you get that taste in your mouth. And I really believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have minerals in the water, particularly sodium, potassium, that you're not going to end up collecting water outside of your cells, which is third spacing, but your cells are going to absorb it if you have minerals. Minerals are like unlocking the door of your cell to properly hydrate.
That's totally spot on. If you ever see people who are malnourished, they'll oftentimes have a large belly,
Yeah.
or they'll have a lot of swelling. And so that's the third spacing, Lisa, that you're speaking of, which is spot on. So all that fluid that could be used that would stay in the vascular system so that your heart gets what you need, your brain gets the, what you need in terms of the overall volume of hydration in your blood system, doesn't get it because it leaks out of the blood vessels and it just sits in the
Right.
fat cells and in your body. But the thing is that when you have the appropriate superfood, appropriate food, then the minerals will allow you to keep that fluid in the blood vessels so that your blood can circulate to your brain and your heart and your organs, which is exceedingly important. And we see that so many times that people who don't get nutrition will tend to third space. And you think, well, if you're having swelling in your belly or your legs,
Yeah.
does that mean you're getting enough fluid? And the answer is just the opposite. You need to keep the fluid in the blood vessels.
Right.
And so when you have a superfood like Cardio Miracle, it really aids in that process.
Oh, that's a fantastic answer. I like to give people word pictures. So if you think about you're at the NASCAR, right? The cars are coming in, they pump them full of gas. That's the minerals and all the other nutrients. The nitric oxide is what takes them around the track. So you have to have those nutrients to support. And this is really the first nutrient delivery system outside of somebody just selling a nitric oxide product, but you have all these other supporting nutrients. Now, Josh, you've been with your dad since the very beginning of all this. And I know that we're starting a new year, 2024, and 2025, coming from 2024. And tell us just a little bit of all the changes that are happening this year. It's exciting. We've gone from 0 to hero almost overnight.
Yes, yeah, we're so excited to be honed in and focused on what we need to accomplish. It's kind of sobering to look through my audio notes. I'm trying to clear up my phone a little bit, and I didn't delete this, but I was looking through my audio notes, and I found that there was a voice memo of John. I call my dad John, right? And so he was talking to my brother and I about how he's invested the last of the money into this one channel that we were trying to partner with. And it was when we had this vegan product. It was all vegan and with Cardio Miracle. And thank goodness he's been able to transition it to make sure that we have the wonderful Cardio Miracle that we have today. And it doesn't have to have no sweetener. It doesn't have to be totally vegan, whatever. So it's kind of nice, but it's sobering to listen to that and then to see where we've come and the evolution. and then even further with 2025, what's so exciting is that we have a professional referral program, and we have so many opportunities to make sure that people can make an additional income. And on my last podcast, we were talking about the unemployment rate and people getting laid off and jobs, people just losing their jobs out of the blue. And I was so excited that we're able to, help people with an affiliateship or with even a partnership with Cardio Miracle that they can just refer the product and they can make money. It's really, really exciting.
Hey, if I could, let me just jump in, Josh. So
Please.
I am so impressed by the founder of Cardio Miracle, John Hewlett, and his heart, okay? Because here he is, he's helping people get healthy through his own experience and where the healthcare system failed him, okay? So that's one level. And so he's done that by being really aggressive at saying, I'm not settling for a product that's going to barely help people, right? He continues to drive to make it better and better. But what impresses me also, and even more, is the fact he actually cares about people financially. He cares about people in all sectors financially. He cares about the docs. And so you have an ambassador program and a physician's program, a clinician's program, so that he understands that, for instance, the pediatricians out there and some of the primary care docs are really struggling because they want to do the right thing to help people. And so as a result, they're not trying to game the system or take advantage of it. And so they're taking care of people almost for nothing. Okay. And so, so your dad, John says, look, I see this is an issue. How can I take health to another level? So now it's working with mental health and emotional health by giving people an opportunity if they want to work to have some residual income and still help people. Here's an opportunity. So my hat's off to John for having a big heart and for creating an opportunity both for people in the healthcare sector and those that are outside the healthcare sector with the ambassador programs to be able to generate some residual income that can really supplement what they're doing, or maybe even transition where they're just like cardio miracle junkies. Because I
Yeah.
tell you what, for me, I don't my thing is that as a physician, every person in the world at minimum should be taking Cardio Miracle. Why? Because if you take Cardio Miracle and you're getting so much nutritional support, and as you're consistent, we have programs where there's subscriptions, so it's a monthly subscription, comes right to your house. What that will do to you is it changes your ability to do things like fight colds. Why? Because your immune system and your other systems are getting the nutrition, the superfood that it needs. There was a time, when we talk about fast food, and fast food usually has a negative connotation, and it should, because it means there's a bunch of preservatives, but you can just whip around a drive-through window, grab a food for you and your family, and you're on your way, being productive. Well, Cardio Miracle is the ultimate superfood, but the good kind, the good guy superfood,
Yes.
because you can just take it in a small packet. It comes in these packets, these 30 packs and 60 packs. Yeah. And I use it all the time. Yeah, there you go, Josh. And I use it all the time at the airport. I'm in a rush, or between flights, and I'll put that in a bottle of water, shake it up, and I can knock it out in a minute. I've got all the nutrition that I need to get me through kind of to the next assignment. And so it's the ultimate fast food, superfood, and yet it's so incredibly nutritious that, can you imagine if we took and each one of the components that are in Cardio Miracle, and we made those into full vegetables? You'd be walking around like Santa Claus with a
Yeah.
bushel of like all these vegetables and fruits on your back, and you wouldn't even have room to be able to put luggage or whatever up, because that's how much is in Cardio Miracle every time you take it, right? So again,
Right.
this is a really big deal, and I think please hear my heart and John's heart, as people who care about people, right? We want you to have good nutrition, we want you to have good health, we want you to have peace, and we don't want you to be so focused inside that you're always constantly focused on the pain, the colds, all
Right.
the other issues that can come with having poor nutrition. So this is a big deal. And I think every person in the world should really have this opportunity. And the opportunity is made, John made this opportunity, very affordable and very accessible to everyone.
Well, don't you remember back in the day, all the doctors are telling you first it was, oh, you don't need vitamins and minerals. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember those days. And then it was, oh, if you want to take something, you can take a Flintstone vitamin and make sure you're taking your fluoride. And then in addition to that, do the one-a-days if you feel you need something. And I used to watch the doctors, their health would degrade quickly under the stress of the daily management of a practice and their patients and surgeons. And they would drink sodas and they would eat horribly and they would get very little sleep. So, we're on a mission to support and help our physicians out there too. They've just been through absolutely a horrible 4.5 years, and so we need to support them. And I love the fact that Cardi Miracle is doing that.
Yep, and our nurses, right?
Our nurses,
as you know, Lisa, there
yes,
are 3 to 4 million nurses, registered nurses out there in America, and they are the heroes, the unsung heroes that helped the entire country get through COVID. And
yes,
so, at the very least, John Hewlett is giving them an opportunity to not only get their health back, but have an opportunity for residual income, when they're also working with clinicians and so forth. And I think it's another wonderful opportunity to put the heroes back in the driver's seat.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Now,
I
Josh,
just-
I know that we have quite a few doctors and nurses and professionals that have been with you and Cardio Miracle since the beginning, correct?
Yeah, we've got a handful of them for sure that have been since the beginning. Yeah, I was just gonna say I just saw a bumper sticker that said "Nurses have patience," so that it was kind of funny, and so no, I mean, hats off to all the medical professionals. I mean, and sorry to bring up a heavy subject, but we were just discussing, the fires that were happening in California, and what is so amazing is I heard some interviews from a couple firefighters that were, off shift, just trying to get some food or water for themselves while they were taking a little break from fighting. And they were saying just what a monstrosity it was and how just overwhelming it was not to have the tools to be able to fight, and that it got kind of political and whatever. But the thing is that we finally have the tools, just to make not a very great comparison or correlation, but we finally have the tools to help not only potentially, reverse, but to prevent things from getting worse. And as we don't cure, diagnose, or any of that or prescribe, we're helping people to realize that with 58 whole fruits and vegetables in this product in a powder form, I mean, people are able to have that hope is what I talked about a lot. And the biggest thing is having the hope and making sure that we can be a part of making America healthy again. And just a little shameless plug is that we're actually, John texted me earlier today and he said, we want to make sure that we're putting packages together. We're putting relief together for the people in California, for anyone that can get the product. We want to make sure that we're taking care of them and doing our small part to
Awesome.
provide that for those people. So yeah, it's really a tough thing. But back to your question, Lisa. Yes, we do have a group of doctors that have been with us since the beginning, and it's incredibly exciting to see how their patients and how the people they know are responding in a positive way to nitric oxide therapy and Cardio Miracle, because we had a couple of doctors come with us from a different business that we had an inferior product we were representing more than 10 years ago, and those doctors are saying, I'm giving my patients half what I was giving them of the old product. So we cut the dose in half, and they're seeing better results, which is amazing to me.
And can I jump in and just say, in terms of the science behind Cardio Miracle, you mentioned about docs and clinicians, and so people are sometimes skeptical about certain things that are said, and I would encourage people to go to the website for cardiomiracle, .com, and really check it out, because there are several scientific studies. John's really big on the science behind supporting Cardio Miracle, and he's constantly, looking at other research efforts. And we've got a research effort that's going on here in Michigan, and he's talking already about another one to show what are the advantages when someone's taking Cardio Miracle. How does it help their health in different ways? And so that's a wonderful thing. But again, that tells you, it reflects his heart as it relates to how effective is Cardio Miracle in its nutrition and providing the appropriate nutrition and the nitric oxide and the L-arginine and the other components, right? So he's constantly double checking himself in the good sense, right, to up his game, to up his ability to provide a superior product. And I would challenge everyone out there that Cardio Miracle's shelves should be empty, because everyone out there, all of us should be purchasing Cardio Miracle. We should be providing the opportunity to get Cardio Miracle to other people because we care about their health, especially during the cold and flu season that we're in now. I tell people, hey, double up or triple up on your Cardio Miracle, if you're starting to develop some cold or flu symptoms. Again, why? Because superfood, having the right minerals, having the right foods, the phytochemicals and so forth, phytonutrients will help support your immune system. That's it. Everybody knows that. That's what superfood does. And Cardio Miracle is a concentrated superfood that's really good for you. And so, we're thinking about how we can be compassionate, help our friends and family to stay well during this cold and flu season. I mean, the best way is every one of you that are hearing this should go out and double or triple up on the Cardio Miracle, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones, for the people that you know, so that they can also enjoy the health that you have by getting the superfood that you're getting that you're aware of. So, I would challenge people to say, hey, find 10 people this week that you've not talked to about Cardio Miracle and say, look, you need to have this because it's going to help you get the food and nutrition that you need that you're not getting because you're busy, right? And
Yeah.
especially for the kids as well out there, and also for the seniors. We talked earlier, Lisa, you mentioned about the tea and toast syndrome, which is extremely common in our older population. And so that can also lead to depression and other cognitive problems. So this is a chance where we can get them the Cardio Miracle as well to help with their cardiovascular strength, their heart, decrease all these other problems that we have when you're getting the superfood and the nutrition that you need.
That makes so much sense. One of the questions the third question that somebody sent me was, if the Cardio Miracle product has amino acids in it, do I still have to take collagen?
So my take is this. So it depends on what you're trying to do. Now, the peptides, which are amino acids and chains, we find those in a lot, again, of the of the components in Cardio Miracle. They're natural. You find
Right.
those in plants. You find those. So you're giving yourself many building blocks that will help to your body to create what it needs, including some of the collagen and so forth. So I would say in general, again, when you're getting enough Cardio Miracle, your body's going to thank you and you'll start to notice it in different ways for sure. I would say beyond that, in terms of if you need a collagen supplement for another reason, then I'd say work with your clinician on that and see how things go from there.
Thank you.
With that, my podcast that I was doing, we were talking about collagen as well as not collagen versus or collagen or Cardio Miracle, but I was talking about how a lot of the people that have been on Cardio Miracle for years, it seems like we see them maybe 6 months in between like a event or something like that. And it's like they almost don't age or they look younger. So it's funny because we can I refer to Cardio Miracle as kind of like the fountain of youth where, it's hydrating your skin. It's keeping you looking more awake and more vibrant and isn't, now mistake me if I'm wrong, because I don't even know about collagen all that much. So what is the biggest benefit of collagen, do you think, Dr. Avery?
So collagen is important in terms of some of the connective tissue in your body to make sure it's strong. It's important for nails and hair, and it serves a lot of functions in terms of scaffolding. But again, when you're getting superfood and your body can really help with the building blocks of your creating your skeletal backbone, your soft tissue backbone. So that's one of the major advantages with collagen.
Incredible.
Women are very much into collagen because they don't want to sag and they don't want to look old and cellulite, all that stuff. But again, there's a lot of bad collagens out there, not to go down a rabbit trail, but I like the cleanness of the Cardio Miracle product. And again, when you end up with lumps and bumps and things aren't, you're aging, a lot of that has to do with circulation.
That's right.
People are misunderstanding that you got to bump up your peptides, you got to go in for treatments, and you have to have extra collagen. When in actuality, many times it's the blood flow.
That's exactly right.
To the tissues.
That's exactly right. If I could add, it's really fascinating when you look at what Cardio Miracle does in terms of the nitric oxide, the L-arginine converts to citrulline. That process occurs across the blood vessel lining of all the blood vessels in your body, including in your brain and your heart and all of your organs. And it's fascinating to note that with Cardio Miracle and its unique formula, it's sustained bioavailable nitric oxide, that it helps to promote healthiness in the blood vessel walls. So literally, the blood vessels go from being really kind of weak to stronger. And I've heard someone say it's like a Teflon coating that people have when they're young, and eventually that Teflon coating on the inside of the blood vessel starts to break down because of stress and disease and whatever else. Well, the Cardio Miracle helps to improve that because again, that the superfood, right? The all of the ingredients, the natural ingredients that are in Cardio Miracle, and help to do that, right? To help to improve that process. And when that is improved because you're getting good superfood, that actually leads to stronger blood vessels and leads to a repair of that Teflon coating. That's what good superfood does. When you get enough of it, your body will go ahead and do that, and that actually helps to decrease the slow blood flow. That helps to decrease the issues that can even lead to high blood pressure and stroke and heart attack. And what I mean by that is, one of the reasons that we have high blood pressure is not only stress related, but oftentimes we have to get a certain amount of oxygen and blood to our brain and other organs. Well, if our blood vessels are all clogged up and they're all beat up, you've got to push harder so the blood pressure goes up, right? To get what you need to get through. So when you have the appropriate nutrition, your body will help to clear the way and open up those blood vessels in terms of repair. And then we know the nitric oxide helps to dilate those vessels on top of it. And oftentimes that can decrease the resistance of you getting that blood flow through the blood vessels to your brain or your heart or your liver or kidney. And that's a wonderful thing. And so I'm really impressed by Cardio Miracle and making that available, bioavailable, food source to help with that process.
That's awesome. Josh, when you look at the comparison to some of the younger people that are just coming on board with the Cardio Miracle product, and I know that you've been an Ironman competition, you've done some incredible things. What are you seeing the interest of the young people in Cardio Miracle? It's kind of becoming vogue, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge compliment. I wish I was in the Ironman. I did strongman competitions, but no. Strongman, Ironman, they're very different, but it's okay. So, what we're trying to do, actually, we were talking to someone earlier today about, they asked me what I thought what we're looking for in our business structure. And I did talk about how we're trying to educate a younger demographic to be more preventative rather than reactive. And the hardest thing is that I say all the time, you can't really feel prevention, so, but we're trying to educate the people as much as we can. And even with, Louis Ignaro's book, one of the scientists that won the discovery of nitric oxide back in 1998, he said that kids don't need nitric oxide therapy. They don't need a supplement with it until they hit the age of 22. And then he came out with a statement in 2018, 20 years later, and he said, okay, everyone on the planet needs to supplement with nitric oxide. So it's like we need to do the best we can, that especially when I go to the gym and I see these kids that just want this no explode is what it's called, this nitric oxide, vascularity with the veins and all this stuff. And it's awesome to have that pump for 7 to 17 minutes, but we want to educate them that Cardio Miracle lasts and keeps nitric oxide in your blood for 24 hours a day, and that you need that to make sure that you're veins in your arteries are continuously flexible and just to live longer, healthier, better lives. And I even tell people, if you try the Cardio Miracle, you're going to be able to burn through this workout and go a lot harder, faster, stronger, longer. And it just, it seems like the word's getting out there. It's pretty cool.
Well, it brings up another really good point is we just got approved for athletic safety, correct?
Yeah, the BSCG, yes.
Yes, that's huge. And we're working with some top athletes right now, and they're excited because a lot of times they see something that they might want to take, but they don't have the clearance. So, John and the team is doing everything right to get it in the hands of everybody, trying to take away all the blockages.
That's
Absolutely.
right. And that's so important. We're seeing cardiac issues in our pro athletes and our high school athletes
Yes.
around the country and the world. And again, what better way than to use Cardio Miracle to help boost your systems with this good superfood and the nutrition that you need, and to be heart protective in that sense, and I can't overemphasize that. And I would also say, in terms of the younger population, as you mentioned earlier too, Josh, is, oftentimes the studies that we quote, it changes based on the population.
Yeah.
And so now we've got more childhood diabetes than ever before, and more chronic diseases than ever before in a younger population. So we used to think of certain disease processes and just in older people and degenerative, processes. Now we're seeing those in younger people. So to your point, I think it's even more important to get that Cardio Miracle in earlier, so your systems get used to it, and now you're well oiled. You've got all the nutrition that you need so your body can repair itself and do what it needs to do, get your oxygen levels, your nitric oxide sustained with its bioavailability, your vitamin D, all these nutrients in your bloodstream that goes to your heart and your brain, so that you're not taking all these micro hits to the brain because you're not getting enough oxygen that in time can lead to some major disorders, cognitive disorders.
Correct. Well, we don't want to put you on the spot or anything. Now, take a look at where this guy is. He's in his car. He's on his way to teach this evening. So we so appreciate you being with us. But one last question. We can't let you go without asking you this. The bird flu. What are your thoughts about that? That's, I'm getting asked that almost every day right now.
So a couple of things, first of all, in general, they're already making more of it than what it is.
Right.
Number one. Number two, understand that you cannot have human to human transmission of bird flu. Number two, the only people that are likely to contract bird flu are people who are around bird blood that's fresh, which is extremely rare. Okay. Number three, there are some very simple solutions to your health, making sure that you have the nitric oxide that we see in Cardio Miracle, the L-arginine, and all the other components that are in there for your health. Other things like black pepper, which, by the way, that's black pepper extract is also in Cardio Miracle, so that's a plus. Virgin coconut oil is a help, and green tea. And again, the phytonutrients that we're seeing in the Cardio Miracle are also a huge help regarding that. So please do not become scared and have the media fearmonger you guys. We need everybody to step up to the plate. We need to get them on Cardio Miracle to make sure they have nutritional supplement that they need to sustain your immune system, to decrease the inflammation in your lungs and in your body, so you get right through this flu season. And I wouldn't think twice about bird flu at all.
What's interesting, Lisa?
Yeah, on that note, right, Josh?
Yeah, just real quick. Sorry, I was saying that I never thought that in my lifetime that I would see no more eggs taped on 2 Costco, doors. So I was like, well, I thought it was toilet paper what people were grabbing first, so it's just kind of of silly, but it feels so nice to be able to kind of just function and live, right? And know that that our immune systems are going to be strong enough to fight off anything that might be lingering or might be sprayed or whatever. And it's just
That's right.
yeah, it's a huge blessing. So really excited about that, and so grateful for Dr. Avery to be with us today. He's such an amazing, amazing man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor, and I'm going to keep talking about Cardio Miracle until the cows come home, because I believe in it and I've seen what it's done in my patients. And I think we shouldn't stop until everyone on the planet is taking Cardio Miracle twice a day. And I believe, I truly believe that it is because of the fact that it's a superfood. That helps with prevention and regeneration, because again, your body is getting the nutrition that it needs, and it'll make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Well, fear no more. Cardio Miracle is here, right? I mean, that's one of the beautiful things that you just mentioned, Josh, is that we don't have to live in fear. We can live in confidence knowing that we have every nutrient that we need, with the exception of maybe some protein that you might take on the side, or maybe an omega oil, those type of things. But there's so much in this one product that I think it would be very difficult to take it separately. That's one of the biggest questions we get is, if I'm taking other nutrients, do I still have to take Cardio Miracle? And so I tell everybody, do your homework, do your cross-reference, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
That's right. And I've had before Cardio Miracle, I was on multiple supplements, and that was almost a full-time job, right? And so when I was reading all the ingredients in Cardio Miracle one for one, and that I stopped all my supplements, except I have some omega 3 that I take, and maybe a little bit of iron in my protein. But other than that, I mean,
Right?
it's all Cardio Miracle. And so I would encourage people. I mean, it's so easy. Like this, as a brain surgeon, this is a no-brainer. So, right? So we got to really get into it. I mean, if you care about people,
Yeah.
you're going to give them the Cardio Miracle and let them do their homework, and they will be impressed when they go to the website, the Cardio Miracle website, and check out the research that John has done and others have done on Cardio Miracle. It's quite impressive.
Well, Doc, we love you. We appreciate you. Josh, you're the absolute best. The podcast king over there. You're going to be seeing and hearing more of both of these wonderful gentlemen. And don't hesitate. If somebody sent you to this podcast, you kind of fell into it, it wasn't by accident. This is the product that's literally changing everybody's life minute by minute. And we're so thankful to have Cardio Miracle in our lives. So God bless everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful start to 2025.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.